And usually I work as a TV host on Megapolis, but today I have the pleasure of leading you through this conference. And I was really happy when I was asked to do this because many of the subjects we have on the program are things that I'm personally passionate about. I'm a bit nervous. I always get nervous when I should picture you all naked or something. Yeah. So what I was supposed to say was, I know how it is being young and wanting to be taken seriously. I've always been creative and a little weird, and maybe all creative people are a little weird, I don't know. And I remember the frustration when I was, 16 and felt like I wasn't understood at school, especially when teachers didn't recognize my skills and gave me the feedback that I needed. But on the other hand, I had these awesome parents who always told me that I could be whatever I wanted. And my parents, they're from Pakistan, and everyone who is Norwegian and have Pakistani parents know that us kids are taught to be ambitious. So when I found out I wanted to be a journalist, I just marched to the local office and said, I'm here, and I have no newspaper experience whatsoever, but if you just give me a chance, I know I will do great work. And so I got the job, and that was like the start of my career. And I only had that job for 3 months, but it was a start. Okay, so I think I'll be better the next time I'm on stage. Yeah, the topic for this session is the value of creativity and passion. And I would like to introduce the first keynote speaker. He was born and raised in Sierra Leone and trained at Harvard, and now spends much of his time at the Media Lab at MIT. He has experiences in tech design, for example, developing prosthetic limbs and malaria control. He has also attended the Red Cross Nordic United World College in Norway. Welcome to the stage, David Senge.
Thank you very much for a kind introduction, Namra, and good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'm very pleased to be here. This is a wonderful opportunity to come back to Norway. The first time I came to Norway was in 2004 when I came to the Red Cross Nordic United World College. Back then, I chose to come to Norway primarily because it was most different from Sierra Leone, particularly in the food and the weather. So, but I spent 2 wonderful years here, and those 2 years are exactly why I'm here again, because it transformed my life fundamentally. And today I'll be talking about how we are enabling the generation of young makers in Sierra Leone. By day, I'm a PhD student at the MIT Media Lab. And the Media Lab is a wonderful institution where the future is created in technology. We literally make products that exist 5 years from now. And more specifically, I design prosthetic devices. And the goal of my research is to think about how do we create comfortable prosthetic sockets for amputees. Now, It does not matter whether you are in the US, like my professor who's a double amputee, or you're in Norway or Sierra Leone, the interface for the human body is very uncomfortable. And I chose to focus on this because I love bioengineering, which I learned about fundamentally at Norway at first, but also because I come from Sierra Leone, where there are lots of amputees. And I wanted to create a product that had the global value. And I would go home all the time. But in this process of going home, back and forth, it became clear that I was part of a problem I was trying to solve. Even though I'm from Sierra Leone, I had left, came to Norway, and then went to Harvard and now at MIT, I had left. I was foreign, and I was bringing in a product back home. And the problem was that by bringing a solution, I was creating a dependency on external factors. Now, when I create prosthetic devices and the solutions that I do, there's a lot of joy. I am very pleased about all of this. I learn in that process. And in fact, one of the ways we learn and create new products at the Media Lab is by making actively. So I get the joy, I get the learning. But when I bring products, I want to bring a solution, not the enabling capability, the creativity. And so I was very frustrated by this. This is an image just outside my house. You walk outside, that's what you see. It's an array of posters that literally tell the people in my community that don't worry about it, all these institutions will come and solve your problem for you. And what that does is it takes away your ability and the confidence in being able to deliver products for yourself. This low self-efficacy. And I grew up in Sierra Leone before I came to Norway. It was my first time leaving my country. 3 of my closest friends who ended up staying in Sierra Leone was among the smartest people that I know, all engineers, trained in Sierra Leone, got the best results. And when I have a conversation with them, we talk about the problems in Sierra Leone a lot. But the minute we start talking about the solutions, they fade away, because they do not think that they are capable to solve those problems. They're highly successful, absolutely smart. But to them, success means working for some NGO. Success means waiting for somebody who's left to come back to solve their problem. And so I decided to do something about this. And I did not want to be part of the problem anymore. And so we launched Innovate Salon. Salon is Creole for Sierra Leone. And at the MAKEAM is a high school innovation challenge that focuses on making and creativity and the learning from making. We asked high school students all across the country to tell us what the problems were they had in their community, how they wanted to solve those challenges, what were the limitations to the challenges and the solutions that they thought. And in return, we gave them cash to develop prototypes. We gave them connection and mentorship with my network from MIT and the diaspora from Sierra Leone and local Sierra Leoneans. And then we give them a network so that they can engage with each other and pair and learn peer to pair. 1 month after we started this, we had 300 students submit about 72 ideas. And we evaluated those based on impact, creativity, and innovation. And we chose 8 finalists that we worked with. Now the thing is, when you make, you learn. When you learn, you make more. And when you share your ideas about what you've made, you're proud and confident. And this here is Raven. She's a wonderful young girl in Detroit in the maker space. She loves soldering, and she can spend all day teaching old and young how to solder, and she can deconstruct the touch that she has and remake it. And she's happy and confident, and it doesn't matter what else she's doing, because she's the teacher and she's the doer. And so we wanted to amplify this in Sierra Leone. Clearly, it makes sense that we focus on young people. That's why we're all here today, and that's what drives most of the work that we do. And these young people in Sierra Leone, they are closest to the problem. They understand the problems, you understand the solutions, and the limitations to those solutions that might exist. And so we wanted to tap into that proximity to both the problems and to the limitations of the solutions that they have. And as I told you, we encourage prototyping. So the broom, the image on your right, is the broom I grew up using. As the youngest person in my house, I did two things. One was I washed all the dishes, and secondly, I had a sweep. I hated sweeping. But I never questioned the broom. It was frustrating. The rope on that broom will break and I have to fix it. I had to bow down and sweep and the dust would come up into my nose. I never questioned it. Two kids who applied to a program said that they didn't want to do this anymore. And so that was the drawing of what they call an electronic broom. We all know what that could be in this part of the world. And we gave them an opportunity. 3 months later, they had a prototype. They did learn the hard way that you have to insulate the metal if you're playing with electricity. But they have a working prototype. And now they're at the stage where they're engaging with a manufacturing group from Sierra Leone to provide this. Have more than 1, 2, 3 prototypes and see how people respond to it. We also brought together these group of students to an innovation camp where they present their prototypes, they self-critique each other, and we help them develop the new versions of their prototypes. And in fact, they had so much fun. This was the first time many of them had left their communities. And they got presentations from people from UNICEF, to focus on monitoring and evaluation, from private sector people to talk about private funds, and from the university group. But primarily it was a moment for them to just be youth, to just be children, and to just create and not be limited by whatever else that was in their community and around them, not by their school, not by their parents. I told you that we had 8 teams that we funded last year who were finalists. By the way, of all the 72 applications that we got, we gave feedback to all of them, and we supported 8 of them. Here's a great story from one of our finalists. If you follow the war in Sierra Leone, Magbeni is a place where literally the last gunshots were fired because the British came in to free one of their guys. And there's a school in Magbeni that's NGO supported, but it's a wonderful school. But their school feeding program was going to be cut because there was no finance. And the students and their teachers decided that they wanted to continue to feed themselves and not be dependent on anybody else through this, through Innovate Salon. And they met with the chief, got a farmland from somebody, one of their parents. The community members came together and helped them cultivate the farm. Many months later, they were able to grow peanuts and sell a lot of the extra peanuts to buy beans, and they grew pepper, which they used to feed themselves. Today they've expanded out and they now have a farm where they grow in rice and cassava. The teachers use the farm to teach the students about agriculture, which is a compulsory subject. They're having hands-on learning, and they can also use that to feed themselves. This other team is from Kedema. Susan is one of the leaders of the team. She learned how to weave when she was 2, 3, at the elbows of her grandmother in her village. And when she moved to the city, many years later, she's frustrated by the fact that she's forced to buy clothes that are imported, and the dye that she might use to do batik is also imported. She can't afford it. She loves her culture, and so she decides to put together a team that's looking at how do you source local dye from trees and from plants in the community, and how do you then weave and create beautiful, fashionable products. I myself like fashion a lot. This clothes was designed in my shop. I own a shop, and it's absolutely lovely when you can design your own clothes and be proud to wear them. So Susan represents that. Mohammed is one of my mentees. He's a wonderful character. He wasn't a finalist last year. He just applied this year now. And Mohammed took MIT classes online, taught himself robotics and design, classes that I have not taken, and I don't even intend to take. And he was able to build his own homemade robots that can move, grab, and it's a wonderful lesson for him. Now, we've done a lot this past year, and we are going on again for a second round this year. We are expecting about 100 applications in. And we have expanded. In fact, my roommate, Jacob Lenheden from Denmark, when I was in Norway at RCN Flecker, is now in Kenya, and he's leading Innovate Kenya. We are also expanding to Cape Town, and we're doing Innovate the Cape. So we are growing internationally. Now, we've been able to show all these opportunities that exist for young people to make. We've given them the opportunities and we've enabled them. Now we're really looking for partners and people to help us to create spaces that will spur and enable this innovation. So I hope you all will connect, and if you have ideas, we look forward to hearing your ideas and using your networks and the mentors that you may have access to help amplify this effort. Clearly, it's wonderful to share local and inspirational stories, and in fact, one of our students, there's a YouTube video about him that's been viewed about 4.5 million times, and there's a really interesting story where I was in the subway in New York at like midnight, and the MTA worker walks up to me and goes, "Are you from Sierra Leone?" And I said, yes, why? He said, "Oh, I saw the video about Kelvin, the kid who made his own FM radio station. Is that all you do in Sierra Leone? Is there so many young people who create and make stuff?" That's wonderful. I hope someday we'll get there. And so my vision, really, ladies and gentlemen, is that I want to see every young person in Sierra Leone have an opportunity to create solutions to the challenges that they face. It will make all our lives easier, and I'm sure we'll have a better world. Thank you very much.
Some of you might have noticed, seeing this building from the outside, going through the foyer, how grand the new National Opera and Ballet House really is. The next speaker has actually led to the development of this building. He is the CEO of Snøhetta and has also led projects as the new Library of Alexandria and the Ground Zero Memorial Pavilion in New York, just to mention a few. So there's no coincidence that Snøhetta was named the most innovative architectural firm. Because these people, they know what they're doing. But how do they do it? To give away maybe a few secrets, Kjetil Trædal Thorsen.
Royal Highness, passionate audience, good morning. As architects, or as some people say, almost artists, we can say good morning until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's the name of an idea. Once you introduce a name, it sticks with you. So whatever you do, make sure the name will be a part of what you develop and how you develop it for the future. Passion and creativity. Passion and creativity are two different things. Passion keeps you going. It will keep you up at night. It is actually what drives you forward in the way of moving things in the way you actually believe. But creativity is distinctive. Why is it distinctive? Because it can be planned for, because you can work for it, because you can actually put efforts into it based on your passion for doing something. It needs to be as distinctive as the reindeers of Dovre, 20,000-year-old family. You need to find your own way. And when you find your own way, you become distinctive in your creative work. and you need to simplify that particular distinction in order to describe it to the people you're working with. We describe it as the cylinder model. You let a lot of individuals into a cylinder and you let them move freely. What you will see, you let some go out, but they come back in, and you will see the one going straight for the goal. Straight for the goal, not moving within the cylinder freely, he will actually miss it. So the straight line from the starting point to the goal is not the solution. You are bound to miss what you set out to do. We work only singular in the plural. 30 different nationalities working in New York and in Oslo. The singular in the plural is the pre-essence where you take care of every individual to create the collective aspects of architecture. It's the only way you can drive creativity forward. This is our organizational diagram. It's all about local and internal network. We work after a method we call transpositioning. This method puts one specialization into the seat of another. It's more almost like an orchestra rehearsing each other's instruments. When you perform, of course, you go back to your instrument. But this is to break down all the assumptions you might have about the specialized people that you're working with. It's taking on their responsibility and portraying that in collective terms. How do we actually do that? Well, we have a group of drivers in what we call idea work. These drivers, and here I'll show you quickly 12, are the essential elements that we use as tools to move ourselves forward. These generic drivers start with zooming out, which means trying to get perspective from detail to a holistic perspective of what you're actually dealing with. Never start focusing only on the details, but move from detail to holistic thinking at the same time. Establish generative resistance. Don't believe that if you get a no, that's a bad thing. That's a good thing. If you're uncertain, that's a good thing. If you keep searching, it's a good thing. Don't think that the forces against you are not of the good. Like this project in Guatemala City, where we were offered to design something for Guatemala City. We took and decided we'll squat the sidewalks of Guatemala City and give them back to the people actually using them by introducing 300 benches done by local artists. We really believe in liberating laughter. It's one of the most important things that we're facing in our everyday work. Laughing is sustainable. Be curious. Look at the things, small or big, that you might have in your hand and see what they can do. Like here, the first test for the facade of the National Memorial Museum in New York, 9/11. It is looking at the prism. Look at how it moves reality. Look at what it does with light. Keep playing and be curious as you go forward. But even as important is rapid prototyping. How do you put into life the analog elements of working with your hands through computer technologies? Our own industrial robot in the office takes our analog ideas puts them into the computer, and you test them, and then you move these files straight into production. No more drawings, just files being transferred from one to the other. No mistakes can be done. We've tested it already in the robot. And that actually gives, for instance, a one-to-one element like for this reindeer pavilion at Dovre, which we use to look at these reindeers that we saw before. Get physical. Every year we walk with the office from New York and Oslo up to the mountain of Snøhetta. What did Laurie Anderson say? She said, walking is preventing yourself from falling forward. Now why is that? Because gravity puts you in a place. My grandfather said, when you walk, you have to do three things at the same time. You have to look down, look at where you're putting your feet. You have to look forward, to know where you're going. And you have to look to the sky to dream. And if you combine these three, you're in a setting where you are really physical, using your whole body. Not only your brain, not only your stomach, not only your feet, but your whole body. Architecture is about using the whole body. Knowledge-based intuition. The keystone in the novel by Italo Calvino, describing the discussion between Kublai Khan and Marco Polo, saying, the keystone is culture of our society. If you remove it, society collapses. You can build buildings with keystones. If you remove this middle keystone, the whole building will collapse. This is Saudi Arabia. And then you wrap it. Then you move forward. Then you look at the simplest way of dealing with technologies and production lines. Be generous. How can you be generous in creative work? By sharing. You share everything you create by giving it a secondary function, which is more than its initial function. You add on. And by doing that, you allow both for collective understanding and experience, and for individual experience. Trust your presence. Only 4 places in the office that we actually really need to be trusting. It's the meeting table where we also have lunch. It's the coffee machine. It's the place where we meet with the whole office every Monday to tell about what has been going on for the last week, or who's married, or who's divorced, who had children, who's coming to visit, what lectures are going to be held, like this one, and the robot. So basically, 3 analog elements compared to 1 digital. Eat, love, and pray. Party. I'm saying this because to the extent that you actually manage to involve yourself on all levels of what you're doing, share situations that are out of the ordinary with your fellow creators. If you don't, you turn it into a job, and a job is boring. Martial art. What is martial art? Martial art is taking the forces against you and using them to solve the problem you're facing. It's taking the opponent's forces to actually go back in and have a look at what it does. Ground zero and building the building of the Memorial Pavilion is martial art. It's using the forces against you. Very end, punk production. Don't do things legally all the time. Do them illegally sometimes.
Told me
then you can become a vei even in your own society. Thank you very much.
We're going to meet another exciting person. He is a photographer and he is 23 years old. He actually just turned 23 today. And yeah. You all have to sing the birthday song when he comes out. And his work has been published in numerous Norwegian newspapers. He's also been sent on assignments by the New York Times and Leica, just to mention some. Sjørelien, will you join me on stage? We're going to see some of your photos, but first, happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
How does it feel to be 23?
I'm getting old.
I'm 27, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
I'm getting a bit embarrassed. But one of the first pictures is actually from a sect deep in Siberia. Yeah. And Marit Bjørgen at Holmenkollen 2 years ago, I think. Yeah. Soccer. And these are two people that I are really fond of. They are Christina and Johanna, who are two hunting twins up in Troms. And what I love about my job is that I'm able to meet fantastic people like them, that dare to be themselves. They don't go out partying, they don't drink cappuccinos, they're not like the average teenage girls. So, yeah.
What was your hello? What was your the creative process before taking this picture? Did they just stand like that, or did you?
I think when we first met them, we traveled up to Troms, me and the journalist, and the first thing we saw was the old Volvo 240 running up with a dead fox in the back, and both of the girls hanging out with their cigarettes. So I think the picture it was quite easy to take actually. It was just having him there, having the two dogs, and trying to get everybody to look in the camera.
Okay, cool. But how do you know when you take a picture and you think, how did you know that? How was the moment when you thought, this is the one?
These was the last pictures we took that day. So before this, we had been out trying hunt and to fish, and everything led up to this moment when we need to capture the whole of the persons in one scene. And when we got it, it was just really, really cool.
And you actually got a first prize on the Picture of the Year award?
Yeah, it was awarded first prize in Portrait Picture of the Year. So that was, of course, fun, but it was much more fun to meet them.
Cool. I actually live with vegans, so they kind of hate this picture. Because they're against, vegans. They don't even eat. Cheese.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah. But they know how to cook pizza.
This is a quite different picture. This was taken on July 22nd, as you might imagine. So, my job is very broad. I get to do almost everything. So, I was working at VG, where I do most of my work, when the bomb went off. So when the windows in our office blew in, the building was beginning to evacuate. So we were, I think, two or three photographers at work at that time. So we grabbed our camera gear and began shooting. So that was like the first thing for me instinctively to do.
Okay. But how do you keep calm in a situation like that?
I'm not sure, but I think I almost went on like automatic because when I ran out, everybody was getting first aid, and for me it was a natural thing to try to document and show the horror of this terrorist act to the people. So that was the only thing that was natural to me at that time. Yeah.
Okay, and this?
This is from a Burmese monk in Burma last year, where I spent 4 weeks doing a story on the monks who were fighting for democracy. And the same, Aung San Suu Kyi, Burma last year. And just the last photo from Boston, the Boston bombings 3 weeks ago, yeah.
Okay, that was
It.
okay. So now we're going to start the panel discussion. And it is about... I lost the... Anyway, it's about how to influence, or how young people can influence and create their own future. And we also have David Senge and Kjetil Trædal Thorsen to discuss this matter, or subject. That is so interesting that the one paper I needed just like disappeared. It's like someone's doing it on purpose. Someone's trying to sabotage. Okay. So I think I'm going to start with you, Kjetil. How did you find your passion?
Who? How did it find me?
Okay. How did it find you?
Actually, by being actively engaged in something. It's like mathematics. At the beginning you don't like it, but the more you learn about it, the more you like it.
Okay.
So that's when passion catches on, in a way. So in order to be passionate about something, you have to learn something about it. Your fantasy can drive you in certain directions, but it can never generate real passion. So the passion that you actually build up is by being involved with something that interests you at the beginning, and then it becomes a passion. Like building cabins when I was young.
But have you always been creative? Or did you build big Lego houses when you were a child?
No, I built playground houses for myself, and my friends, because I was very young. But again, also creativity is something you have to work for to get. You're not necessarily born with huge amounts of creativity. It's not like I got out of my mother and said, I want to create the opera house.
Yeah.
It's almost an impossibility. Anything we do is related to how we move forward and what interests us and how sincere we go about with the interests that we have. And then we become creative, and then we become passionate. Passion keeps us going, as I said. Creativity is distinctive. You build it up.
And David, how did you're like nodding? How did you start? Or did you have it in you?
I think I was lucky enough to be with my parents who welcomed me to have conversations with them and to hang out with them. Most of my real good friends are much older than I am, and I think just the ability to know and be given the opportunity to do stuff that was out of your league, like where there's a challenge element to it. And the more you learn, the more you try to do stuff that you can't do, the more your library of toolkits, the assets that you can use to be much more creative will improve. I think I just got an opportunity to engage with people who I could learn from and who were doing things that were very different from what I was doing.
Mm. And how about you, Shura? Weren't you supposed to be a musician?
Yeah. When I was 15 years old, I was heading towards a career as being a cellist. And after a while, I was getting more and more interested in photography. And then when I was about 15 years old, 16, I decided to quit the career in music and pursue photography. And I've never regretted it ever since. So I think it's really important that you can shift lanes if you want to, if you're either 15 or 35.
But when you find out that you're good at something, how do you make the most of it? How do you how do you know it's enough to build a career on, or something?
You don't. You have to take a chance. And once you start recognizing certain qualities, you expand on them. And talent as such is something you have to work really hard to get. So in the end, it's about how you work, how you relate yourself to yourself. Are you honest to yourself while you're doing it? You keep asking yourself questions, you're uncertain. But there might be a certain way of, at a certain point, where you feel you're breaking the barrier of, okay, now let me stay for a while and do this. Doesn't mean I can't change or do other things. But it means at least let's try it for a while, see how it goes.
But how do you keep dedicated? Have there, for example, been times for you when you thought, I can't do this?
Yeah, I mean, very regularly I met with my professor on Friday. And at the end of the meeting, I was like, I don't think I know how to do this at all. And in fact, when I used to work on vaccines during my undergrad at Harvard, and when I was about to start at MIT, I went to my professor and I said, look, I want to do this prosthetic bank in Sierra Leone, and he goes, it wouldn't work. And I said, why? And he said, well, the socket is the most important part, and we don't know how to do it. And I asked him, you know how to do it? He goes, no, I don't know how to do it either, so let's figure it out. We both started this project not knowing what we're doing at all. We had a general sense. And every now and then, the tools that we have, the limitations with the technology, you feel like, yeah, maybe this is not a good time. This project will come alive in 5 years when the technology has improved, but you don't really know when, and I think it's exciting. I think that's what's actually beautiful about it, is that you're doing something you don't know how to do. If you knew how to do it, it would be boring and it would be all done.
Yeah. True. Yeah. But do you think it's important that the family in a way stimulates? Because when you're young and it's not everyone who supports being creative. Some parents just want, my mother wanted me to, of course now she supports me, but at some point before that she was always trying to say, but you don't want to be a doctor or something like that, something more practical, so it's not always that easy to get that support. Is it important that the family
Yeah, I think so. And for me, of course, my family wanted me to be a musician in some way, but when I wanted to shift lanes, they also supported me. And now I think that, of course, they just want you to be happy. So when I'm happy with my profession and what I do, they are also. So I think as as long as the parents can try to motivate the children to follow their passion, I think that's enough.
Were your parents supportive?
Yeah, absolutely. But not everyone has that great pleasure. That's why I believe, for instance, universities should be open access. So you find out what you're doing, you swap, you change. And the numerous classes, which is called in Middle Europe, allows everyone to start any type of study that they would like to do. And during the sessions of first, second year, they start looking at, did I like that? But we've come into a production line of students, which have to finish in 5 years. If you don't choose right at the beginning, you're out of the game. It's a problem, because it doesn't really doesn't allow you the slowness that you actually need. So for these people who don't really have that support needs to be found elsewhere. And that needs to be found in the searching of what you want to do and how you want to do it. So for me, yes, I have my parents, but I have many friends who didn't have support from their parents.
Okay, and how about you? Did you have support? Do you recognize?
I think my mom still dreams that I'll be a medical doctor. It's about rebellion somehow. I don't want to be a medical doctor. It's a wonderful profession, but that's not what I want to do. And I think she accepts it because if you do something you're passionate about, you eventually do well. And I do like rebelling a little bit sometimes, and I think it's fun.
You should, absolutely.
But Kjetil, you just said that everyone don't have that support, but how can the older generation help to open the floor?
Yeah, so actually, for the students that we work with, right? So we are working in an environment where the young people in Sierra Leone, they're not the first people you go to when you want to solve problems. They are supposed to sit and wait for you to bring a solution to them. And so we have found out actually that we do need to have the support of your parents. And there's a lot of things which we don't talk about, and the fundamental thing is integrity actually. So we all learn integrity, which is doing the right thing when nobody else is watching, or specifically when somebody else is watching you. We learn that from our parents, from our family, from the small circle we are in. And so it's very important that for us, as we do this now in Sierra Leone, that it's not just about giving kids, young people an opportunity to make and create, that it's fundamentally important that you can model integrity, that they can practice it. It's also a skill that they need to do. Because at the end of the day, it does not matter what skill set they have. If they don't act with integrity, we'll still be in the same place where we are. And that's one use of the family and then the support system. And when it's not present in the family, we should be able to provide that. Otherwise, it's a lost effort, I think.
And Shubha, sometimes it's difficult to be taken seriously when you're young, and you are young, and you started early. Have you ever experienced not being taken seriously?
Yeah, of course, and I still do. That's why I have this bad attempt of a beard. So I try to look a bit older. But I think that also could be an advantage, because if you are young, people can perhaps be a bit more open because they're not so afraid of you. So I think in some ways it's easier for me to get to know people I don't know when I meet them. So I think it's still a good thing.
You look like you want to say something.
I always want to.
What did you have in mind?
No, I'm just saying, to me, the key word is generosity in our society, sharing whatever you have, whether it's ideas, thoughts, whether it's inventions, whether it's open source, whether it's how actually to take experience and not use that as a negative experience for saying, no, this is not possible, but using it actually to say, yes, I've experienced this, now it's your time to take that experience and do something with it. It's like they say in India, this thing about copyright. that you should give to your mother because she gave birth to you. So in a way, we're dealing with not direct ownership, directly related to what belongs to us, but in a way of sharing knowledge. I think it's the only way. Generosity is the only way you can evolve societies into a real strong cultural setting.
I don't take myself too seriously at all, so that's and not like in a self-demeaning way, but we're all learning. We're not experts. Nobody's a boss, and so I don't take it too personally if somebody doesn't take me seriously, because I'm gonna keep doing what I do anyway. It never really bothers me how somebody views what I do. And partly it's because I was able to be friends with people who were much older than I am, and I can be friends with my 2 or 3-year-old niece. And it's this belief that it does not matter really who you are, whether you're 5 and my little niece or you're Bill Gates, you're all the same to me, and I treat you all with equal respect, and I demand the same respect from you. And then you never have to question whether somebody takes you seriously or not, really.
But are you all saying that when people don't take you seriously, that in a way like motivates you more? Because
For me it does, and also it's also quite simple. If you do a good job and are a all right person, people are going to respect you. I think that's at least my belief. And if they're not respecting you from the beginning, then it's almost a goal to convince them to do. So yeah.
Yeah, you're just, here's my picture in your
Yeah.
face. How do you use your creativity to something good?
And I think some elements of which you just spoke about. For me, I love being in a situation where I'm solving a problem that's global. So the way you connect the human body to machines, it's a global problem. Rich or poor, whoever you are, at some point you'll need a machine on your body. If it's a brace or an ankle brace or whatever it is that goes on our body. And we don't know how to connect the body to machines comfortably at all, and it's a very difficult problem. And being able to understand the science behind that is exciting. But more importantly, it's about having everybody have access to that ability. It's so much fun and joy to think about these problems where I am. And it shouldn't matter that I'm at MIT at all. It pains me to see that I can experience that and other people in other parts of the world cannot, right? And so how I want to use my time, as I said, really was to make sure that other people have the same opportunity, because it's so much joy. When you create this building and you're in there, you feel great, it's excited, because you made it. I feel like it's cruel to not give other people that opportunity. It's the best gift we can have.
But how can we give them that opportunity?
You build tools that enable other people to build. So you build your product that you have should be an enabling thing. We form partnerships such that we build products that enable young people wherever they are to take the first step to create. You give them the spaces. We were just talking backstage about what a creative space would be like and how you kind of force people to be so in the space that you provide for creativity. Another element of that is the tools that you provide that enable people to make. And just the inspiration, just somebody seeing that you can do it, right? So a lot of the people who from Sierra Leone send me a lot of messages on Facebook, many of which I don't respond to, do not really want anything from me. They're just saying, I can't believe you're doing this, I want to do this is so great. That's a gift in its own way, right? So There are multiple different ways in which we can do it. But I think for me, the most important piece is creating the tools that enable other people to make, creating the space where people can congregate to develop, and being that inspiration through what you do.
You sound very passionate, but how does one keep that passion? Like even people who are in love get bored of each other at some point, maybe. I don't know.
It's like if you love what you do, it's so much more easy to keep dedicated and to keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible. And when you're giving a difficult task, that's what's driving me to push, to take better pictures. And if you're always constantly working on creating a better result, it's easier to be dedicated, I think and hope. But I'm still young, so I don't know.
Keep buying her flowers.
Yeah.
I think also for me, my friends keep me focused. That's why I went to UWC in Norway, and I still am very good friends with many of the guys who I came out of school with. You always check in. You always go back towards your ideals. You always head back towards there. So it's the kind of friends you have, right? You need friends around you who will make sure that when you're doing the right thing, they can amplify it. But if you are doing the wrong thing, they can tell you, BS, that's awful. You can't do that. It's hard to have those kind of friends, but you should find them and keep them.
What kind of friends do you have?
Oh. Actually, my best friends are outside architecture. Also, I need to read books that are not related to architecture, although some people tell me to do that all the time. So what I try to do is meet people in their own cultures and different manners. And when you do cultural buildings, for instance, that's easier because the people on the other side of the table are more open to ideas and discussing whatever is happening in the world, especially in a global perspective. I think it's where we're moving is really to look at that as one of the largest challenges. So now my best friends are maybe outside architecture in Saudi Arabia, fighting for the cinema that they want to build for the public of Dammam in Saudi Arabia, the first public cinema. So for men and women. So, you can change things through friendships and interactions in different parts of the world. And what happens then is, when you do that, you relate it back to yourself and you say, okay, nobody would yell if you built a cinema in Oslo. But yes, they do if you do it in Saudi.
And just wondering, Sjode, do you know what time it is?
Yeah, it's 20 past 10.
Okay.
So I think we have 10 minutes.
I forgot my cell phone. I was supposed to keep it just to have.
A mirror.
Yeah, mirror. What do you think you've been? What do you think are the biggest challenge for young people who are shooting at the stars?
Well, the biggest problem would be if they're shooting for the stars from the beginning. So I would never advise anyone to do that. When I was teaching in Austria at the university in Innsbruck, mainly for skiing reasons. But, apart from that, really quite extraordinary is that you allow people to develop their own personalities within what they have. Let's say you're a lazy person.
You're what?
A lazy person.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Is that a quality? Yes, it can be a quality to be lazy.
Okay, how?
Yeah, you have to find the core of your laziness. You know what I mean? So you start looking for the things. And I gave this student, very, very lazy student, the task, while we were tearing down the building, as sort of a reconstruction of the building by taking it down, nail by nail. His task was to pick out the nails, put a number on the nail, and say what type of iron or steel he thought it was made of, put it in a plastic bag and collect it. It took almost no work, it was a small shed. But his exhibition of laziness with these bags of nails became the most fantastic exhibition, just because he was lazy.
But
So it's about finding the core of the qualities that you might have and allowing the people that you're actually dealing with on a day-to-day basis to try to search for this, even if they're uncertain.
And in a way, maybe use the qualities that may seem bad as something positive.
Yes.
Okay, that's deep. That's, I'll have to
Because we have a perception of what is right and what is wrong. But this right and this wrong keeps changing. So whenever we reflect upon right and wrong, we do it always looking backwards, not forwards. So the comparison between the two then ethically does not become right at the moment when you're doing things too late. That's what sort of the mirror neurons in our brain is helping us not to do. Yeah, it's helping me to move forward without just copying you, although I copy you.
Okay, cool. I feel like I believe everything you're saying.
Okay, I have to change strategy.
Very convincing.
But it does this. I just, sometimes you have this deja vu feeling. When, I feel like this has happened before. I just had the deja
A
vu.
collective deja vu.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Does what he's saying make sense to you? In a way?
Yeah, of course, but I think I have a much more or less concrete relationship to it. For me, I just keep on going. I don't think so much about what I do and where I want to go. Yeah.
But I think in how I relate to that is the perspective keeps shifting. We can't be still. We're not still. We meet new people. We form new relationships. There are new interactions we have, and so what's right and wrong, what's success and failure, all of those keep moving depending on where you're standing. And I think the more successful people are able to keep moving within this frame and be able to readjust their focus as to what's possible, what's the next step, how do you take advantage of whatever has happened to move ahead. You can't stand still. And so for me, I think that the big challenge really for myself, what I face, and I think for young people who are trying to build a portfolio of creating impact in the world, right? So I feel like whatever it is that I should do and that young people should do should be creating value and some kind of impact for ourselves. And in many ways, if we create value and impact for ourselves, it does extend to our community and it extends to our best friend, to our family, and we can scale that, creating impact. I think to create impact and value is being able to re-understand what's successful and what's failure. Those two things don't really exist. It's the minute you think about them in that way, that's the biggest challenge.
Yeah, I can agree more.
And how important, just to oppsummere, hva det er på engelsk? Sum it up. How important do you think creativity and passion is for young people?
Well, it's the most important thing, that you can try and follow your gut feeling and try to push yourself. And if somebody wants to be a doctor, they can be a doctor. But if they study and after 10 years want to be an architect, they should do that, I think. Because there are so many people that are not happy with their job. So if you can love what you do, that's the best thing.
And you did, in a way, that because you wanted to be a musician.
Cellist, yeah, in some way. And, I haven't regretted ever since. So perhaps I would have been a mediocre cellist, not loving my job. But now I can do what I love and also get paid for it.
For me, I don't have a choice. We don't have a choice but to have young people being the change makers in the world. And it goes beyond saying it. It goes beyond attending conferences that say it. I think we have to act it and we have to enable it. And in many ways, it's if a little kid, your baby, we all learned how to walk, and many of you have kids. You don't say to your little kid, here, let me teach you how to walk. Stand on my feet and I walk with you. You give them something to hold on. You watch them fall. They get up, get a bruise, and they learn to walk. In many different ways and in the things that we do in life, we give people an opportunity to create and to learn from the experience. But we fail to do the same about development. We fail to do the same about youth and creativity and them changing their own world. It's dumbfounding sometimes when you think about it. And I think we don't have a choice. Sierra Leone specifically, I think, has about 60% of its youth are under 30. This number is great in Africa. Spain has lots of youth. I think there's a fundamental error in the assumption that we should create jobs for those youth. We won't be able to create jobs for that huge amount of people. The biggest thing we can do is to enable them to create jobs for themselves and more people to do things and to learn from doing it. I don't know specifically how that's going to happen, and we're doing it. Different people have different ideas, but that's our only solution, really. So it is paramount that we aren't just creative and passionate about what we do, but at the core of it, it's about sharing, being generous enough to enable other people to create and make.
And any thoughts from you?
Yeah, well, maybe. Passion is, like I said, keeps you going. Creativity keeps you passionate.
Thank you. Okay, thank you to David Tenge, Kjetil Trædal Thorsen, and Shubha Lien.